What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire video. And in this video I am going to be talking about the truth behind Sea Mauville. What were they really doing there? Who was involved? Etc, etc. Okay, so I'm going to start off and then we're going to go through and I'm going to look through all the evidence we have from, all the evidence or the notes or whatever you want to call them, from the sort of ruins, I guess, of Sea Mauville, not in the order you find them, of course, but in the order it makes sense. So, first up, obviously we know that Sea Mauville is basically, it looks almost like the abandoned ship, but it's really not. It's actually a building that's sort of just falling into the sea. You can see when you first arrive at it, it doesn't really look like, exactly like, you know, it's not like a house. It's got some weird technology on it. As you can see on the top of its building there, you have generators, it looks like, some sort of satellite dish almost. Possibly for communicating with the mainland, because obviously it's out at sea, but why is it out at sea? It's another thing you can ask. Then, at one of the rooms, if you look behind the locker, it says there's a gigantic PC behind the locker that doesn't open. So there's actually sort of, you know, electricity PC research methods installed in here. Even though you won't be able to find any actual like computer screens and whatnot, there are, you know, PCs and such in there. There is some technology in there. It's not just like a empty building almost. Then obviously once you're underground, underwater, you can see some more sort of generator stuff. You know, when you're surfing in the main underwater section, you can see sort of like electric cables and such flying, you know, going over around the ship and whatnot. And if you go down to the bottom bit where you find Lugia, if you're playing Alpha Sapphire, I think it is, you can see, you know, obviously there is sort of like a control panel there down in the belly of the ship, and there's also some generators around as well. So what were the generators being used for? We don't really know. So then, we know now it's a nature preserve, because if you talk to the young woman, the entrance says this place was once a facility built to extract natural resources that can be found in the ocean. What natural resources were these in the ocean? We don't really know, it's not really specified upon. She says, however, a certain event led to the facility's closure. What was this event? We will find out more as we go through this video. So a certain event caused the factory to close. Now, if you talk to one of the young children around, he says, I heard this place used to collect something called ENERGY, energy. Now, what energy do we know about already? Infinity energy, and this is confirmed if you go and read one of the sort of cabinets in one of the rooms. It says, the file labelled confidential contains stained documents. The documents have dates way before you were born, so we know this facility worked, it was at least, you know, 10 years ago, at least 15 years ago, so obviously it's taken some time to actually degrade, so I would say about 15-20 years, possibly not a huge amount of time, but a decent amount of time has passed since this place was in operation. Then, the document is actually sort of, it's blocked up, as are most of the documents here, but I will be, I guess, translating them and getting the full meaning. So we have, Der Sec Investiport, the develop on new Urgy turned out to be true. This translates, or this goes through to something, deck, so maybe, deck maybe guys, deck, Devon, or not even, it's not deck, but it's Devon secret investigative report, or investigation report, whatever, investigatory report, something along those lines. The development on new energy turned out to be true. What energy have we already heard about? Infinity energy. The second part then says the ene that uses Pokémon Bio-Energy is called Inity energy. The energy that uses Pokemon Bio-Energy is called Infinity Energy. So as I talked about in the Infinity Energy Explain video, Infinity Energy is Pokemon Bio-Energy. It's their life essence, their soul almost. The energy that you get from them being what they are. Animals almost. So that is what that document says there. So we now know it's confirmed, or we can figure out here, that this facility was used to either research or create Infinity Energy. If you then go into one of the other rooms, I think it's the same room actually, it says there's this crumpled piece of paper inside. Sea Mauville Company song is written on it. Now I'm not going to put all the company song on the screen, but it's actually, it's a repeating song. Talks about the sun rising in the first verse, then midday in the second verse, then the sun setting in the last verse. But in every verse, there is the talk of collecting energy. So from this we can figure out that this facility was used to collect this infinity energy. But what was the infinity energy used for? Now we know it's been used in the rockets, in the warp panels, but there was another use. There's another use listed or hinted at in this Sea Mauville. That is a bit more dark, I guess. If you look at one of the cabinets in one of the rooms, there it says there are little glass bottles lined up inside a dusty cabinet, all with the same label. Wake up with Devon Energy Elixir, now with refined Sapphire extract. Increase your focus, work for days, you'll never need another rest. Were they making Infinity Energy into an energy drink that people could drink and basically drink Pokemon and use it to do work pretty much? And this bit, now with refined Sapphire extract, if they'd gotten Survivors, converted them into energy and just put it in there to maybe the Sapphire energy has a little, sort of little extra push than different Pokemon, maybe, I don't know, but this Devon Energy Elixir, it's basically the killing of Pokemon to make an energy drink. This is absolutely dark. This is dark for Pokemon. Obviously here, right now, it looks like, Devon Energy Elixir. It could just be an energy drink they've made up and, cool, say it's got refined Sapphire extract. But really, we know Infinity Energy is Pokemon Bioenergy. They could very well be using Infinity Energy to make this energy drink, which means they're almost culling Pokemon to make an energy drink. So, who worked at Sea Mauville? Who worked at Sea Mauville? We've already heard that Devon possibly has something to do with it, because they Infinity Energy is their sort of thing. So this is a Devon facility, and we figured out from the Devon secret report there. But who worked for Devon on this facility? Well, thankfully, whatever, throughout the area of Sea Mauville, there are several ID cards and reports with names on. So we actually know some people we know now worked at Sea Mauville. First up, we have a Sea Mauville employee card, is what that goes to, and then we have an A and then a Z. Not really that helpful in terms of who that is, okay? And then when told they're on the warehouse team R storage group -1, so maybe 21 team 1, something like that. I'm not quite sure. But then we go further on and we can actually figure out who that card belongs to. Then we get an official statement of apology from what the statement says: I something Ezo Como am responsible for the loss of the odd keystone donated by the Orb of Mine. Now this is to do with the Spiritomb you can find in Sea Mauville, because then if you open up your menu after reading this, Spiritomb will attack you. But the odd keystone was obviously donated by Orb of Mine. Maybe they were searching whether that thing gave off energy, perhaps. Who knows? Because we know, Spiritomb has something to do with an odd keystone. It's actually part of an odd keystone, so maybe they were going to extract the energy of Spiritomb from the odd keystone, or something along those lines, or investigate how it, investigate it in general. But obviously, this person, Ezo and then Como, lost it. So who is this? Whose name is this? Thankfully, though, we get yet another mention of their name, which is Sea Mauville Service Notice. It seems to be a service invoice. Name R.A. Cosmo. R.A. Cosmo. So if you add those two together, R.A. Ezo, Raizo, and then Cosmo. Raizo Cosmo, who is actually Takeo Cosmo's father. Takeo Cosmo is the Professor Cosmo we see several times throughout the main story and the Delta episode of Oras, and this is his father. So his father worked here. Base pay, we'll then go on to sort of the pay it. Base pay is -85-9, and the overtime bursement is 1-23. So he's getting paid at least, a good few thousand Pokédollars for working here. So this research is obviously very top secret, or very, I guess, special, since it's getting paid a lot of money to be here. Then we have another, ID card here, where we have a Sea Mauville employer ID, Group Leader Stern, who works on Excavation Unit number 8, Team 1. So Stern, Captain Stern from Slateport, actually worked at Sea Mauville at one point, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, but he worked at Sea Mauville, he was part of the project, and yeah, that's another person we know. So we know two people. I guess we don't know Cosmo's father, Raizo Cosmo, but we know sort of who he relates to, I guess. So Raizo Cosmo and Stern were two of the people that worked at Sea Mauville. Then, if we look some more at the work life, I guess, of Sea Mauville, the team, we have a picture in one of the rooms that says, it's a picture of a guy with an impressive moustache and stomach. Who do you know has a impressive moustache and a stomach? We'll look more at that in a minute. He's smiling with many men in jumpsuits in front of Sea Mauville. So jumpsuits are sort of these work clothes you get. So, they were working here. It was probably almost a factory here. Then if you look at the cabinet right next to it, it says a shattered teacup with printed letters, adversity is on the shelf. Adversity is like, working hard in the face of, setbacks, I guess. So, continuing to work hard even though they keep getting set back by their goal. Something along those lines. Then we get into some proper stuff about why the facility closed down, and why also, obviously Sea Mauville was maybe related to New Mauville, indeed it is, and we hear about it here. We have investigative report on WA. Someone's name begins with WA. We'll talk more about this in a minute. A series of actions related to the cancellation of the New Mauville project turn out to be true. I recommend prompt discipline action against him as a traitor to our group. Dio, and then end of the name, teamy leader, excavative group 1 or something on those lines. So Dio, who is the WA and who is the Dio? As I said, we'll look at this in a minute. So we have someone whose name begins with WA and someone whose name begins with Dio to look at. Then, if we look in another cabinet, there's actually a magazine there which has loads of headlines on it. It has termination of New Mauville project officially announced at last. Serious talks begin about the closure of Sea Mauville. Cries of concern are up from staff members working at Sea Mauville about their jobs, obviously. And Greater Mauville Holdings. I'm guessing this is like the upstairs bit in Mauville, or the main Mauville section. Greater Mauville Holdings reps remain tight-lipped about the issues. Project leader Watson weighs in on problems plaguing in New Mauville. So we can assume the person that was talked about as a traitor almost to the New Mauville project, WA, is Watson. So a series of actions related to cancellation of the New Mauville project turned out to be true. So he's a traitor to their group. What did Watson do? What did he do that caused the New Mauville project to be ended? We heard from him actually that it was supposed to be a new city, but it was actually stopped because it's endangering the lives of Pokemon around. So maybe Watson realised this and went to the magazine, went to the press about it, and then it exploded. And obviously they can't really carry on the project after that. So he betrayed the Devon group almost, and that's what caused New Mauville to be closed. And eventually it seems like Sea Mauville as well, because I guess a similar investigation was carried out on Sea Mauville. Then, more about the closure. There's actually a magazine hidden under one of the beds, which has the title "What You Need to Know About Unemployment." So the employees here knew their jobs were most likely going to go, because if New Mauville was closed down, then Sea Mauville was likely going to get closed too. So they knew where their jobs were going. So they started reading magazines about unemployment. Then we have this huge long notepad actually of someone's. We don't really know who, but we can make a guess. It starts off: the damage caused by the cancellation of the New Mauville project has been catastrophic. As a member of the management, much of the blame and the debts will fall upon me. But that will be little consolation to the employees working under me who will lose their livelihoods. I couldn't do a thing for them. I'm a man with no power. Protecting nature and the Pokemon and the environment. It's great as an idea. It's a fine ideal to aspire to, and it's a great and Watson is a great man for dreaming of it all. So this sort of confirms Watson was the one who betrayed them. He went to the press and talked about how Pokemon's environment was getting disrupted, etc. from New Mauville, and obviously Sea Mauville as well. So that's that. So this is probably not Watson, saying this unless he's going to talk about himself, which is unlikely. But cruel reality and the organisation that I must try to preserve has dashed those dreams. Who's talking about this? Who is this? I couldn't do a thing for him. I'm a man with no power. So this is talking about how Watson was, presumably fired or whatnot. So this is possibly not the person right at the head of the company, because otherwise he could do a thing for him. So it's possibly just the leader of the Sea Mauville project, or at least one of the leaders. Who knows? It then says this is the last page we have writing on it. Other pages have been torn out. So possibly, my guess would be this person is the person whose name was Dio and then ended off, because they wrote the report on Watson's betrayal, so possibly it's the same person here, and there's a notepad as well. So I'm assuming this person, Dio, we'll find out the name later on guys, I'm just going to keep you in suspense for a bit longer. Dio, ending off, is I guess the leader of Sea Mauville, leader of the project here, and obviously he was the one that had to then write the report on Watson, and unfortunately turn him in pretty much. Turn him in. Then we have some more from another room here. There's an old note at the back of the cabinet with broken glass. Finally, the date of closing has been decided. So obviously we figure out here that Sea Mauville's then it's been told you're going to close. Unfortunately, I can't say thank you enough to Stern, who invited us to a shipyard when we would be left adrift. So basically, Captain Stern, who had the shipyard as well, said to the workers, "Why don't you come work at my shipyard since you're going to lose jobs?" So Stern was a good guy. Stern, he saved them all and brought them over to his shipyard. Doc, who's done a dirty job, and I can both start with a clean slate. The only way we can repay him is to support his business with our skills. Doc. So Dio, with the name finishing off. Doc. You guys might remember Doc is one of the guys who works in Captain Stern's shipyard. He was in the original Ruby Sapphire games, and he's in Oras too. He's the man downstairs with the plans. So Doc, presumably, is the leader of Sea Mauville, and he actually, as I mentioned just then, was the one who had to write the report on Watson, and obviously ended off Dio. and presumably the notebook belonged to him as well, if not possibly Stern it belonged to. We don't really know. So either him or Stern would be my guess. So his dirty job. So his dirty job was writing the report on Watson, obviously. And then they, saying we're going to go repay Stern by working at a shipyard, which is fair enough. Then, if you go to talk to the scientist just outside Sea Mauville, he actually says to you, I'm investigating this place, Sea Mauville, at Captain Stern's request. So Captain Stern is still interested in Sea Mauville for some reason. Possibly just to sort of, I guess, see, he's actually looking for a scan, this guy, remember. So possibly Captain Stern is looking to remove any involvement of his with this, or maybe he's just looking to recover data, or maybe he's really trying to, get back at the infinity energy and fire that up again, who knows. But that's really it for the information from Sea Mauville. So basically, Sea Mauville was a facility for investigating and most likely developing, creating infinity energy for Devon to work with and create stuff. Because as I said right at the start, guys, the nature preserve, the lady says, the place was once a facility built to extract natural resources that can be found in the ocean. What natural resources were these, guys? What were the natural resources? Water? Salt? Something else like that? What else can be found in the ocean? Pokemon. Maybe they were getting fish, tentacle, whatever, sea Pokemon from the sea and turning them into infinity energy, hence to use in their energy drinks, as well as other technology as well. But maybe a similar project was planned in New Mauville, or maybe it was indeed intended to be a city as well. So while these guys were investigating infinity energy down at Sea Mauville, New Mauville was being built as a city, a really high-tech city sort of thing, as we know, because it's got retina recognition and whatnot, etc, etc, etc. But then Watson, realised that New Mauville was harming Pokemon and called out about it, went to the press basically, and betrayed the Devon Corporation, who then, obviously, they had to close down the New Mauville project, and then an investigation was very, very likely for Sea Mauville as well. So unfortunately, Sea Mauville got investigated, and they were closed down as well, because obviously, I guess, they might not have actually figured out what they exactly were doing, but they at least figured out that they were harming the environment around the area in the sea. So basically, that's what Sea Mauville is. It was a facility to investigate infinity energy and possibly create it as well. Doc worked there, Captain Stern worked there, Raizo Cosmo, Takeo Cosmo's father worked there, as I'll be covering in another video. Actually, there's a bit more backstory to Raizo and Takeo. It's not really related to the actual workings of New Mauville, or Sea Mauville rather, but it does sort of give a bit more backstory to their story, so we'll be covering that soon as well. But those people work there as well. Watson had something to do with it at least, too, because obviously mention of Watson. But yeah, there may be other characters we possibly know or have links to work there. We don't know. But guys, that is really going to be it for this video. Hopefully I've covered Sea Mauville in as much detail as I can. If you guys have any thoughts on Sea Mauville about what they were doing here, whether we're going to see any sort of mention of this in future games and whatnot, or whether you think it's just going to stop there, let me know down below in the comment section, guys. I'd be really interested to hear what you're going to say. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to let me know by hitting the like button down below, and I guess I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.